and welcome to Virgo season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and the creator of Embodied Astrology. I've been taking some time off this summer, and these horoscopes were recorded way back in Gemini season, so please let me know how they land for you and what's resonating in the comments. I do read my comments, and I want you to know that hearing from you is one of my favorite parts of this work, so thank you for talking back with me. As you tune in with this reading, keep in mind that astrology is an ancient, vast, and multidimensional technology. But sun sign horoscopes are general, and every astrologer has their own lens for interpretation. Not everything I offer will resonate for everyone, so take what works, leave the rest, always listen to your own intuition, and make the meanings that are most meaningful for you. I also want to remind you that horoscope astrology is most accurate for your rising sign. But, pro tip, do check your birth chart and see if you have a late degree rising sign. There are 30 degrees in every sign, and if your rising degree is later than 25 degrees, I'd recommend also listening to the sign that follows yours. If you have different rising and sun signs, listen for your sun sign for information on your general energy, and your rising sign for accuracy with timing, prediction, and thematic content. You can also listen for your moon and Venus placements for insight into your relationships. And since we're in a Mercury-ruled season, you might explore listening for your Mercury sign for more information on your mental state, important aspects of your communications, and definitely some more subtle themes that may be influencing you as we head into this Virgo season's eclipses. If you enjoy my readings, make sure to check out your 2025 Year Ahead Extended Horoscope. That's over an hour of in-depth exploration of this year's most important astrology for your sign, and those readings are discounted now by 25%, but still have so much more information that is relevant to this year, this season, and the eclipses we're about to enter. Okay, so before we get into your horoscopes, I also want to let you know that at Embodied Astrology, we offer much more than horoscopes and podcasts, and there are lots of opportunities to get involved. If you resonate with my voice and style and are interested in working with me to embody astrology more fluently and frequently, you can find me every Monday in Somatic Space, which is a weekly online class where we practice sensing current astrology through gentle exploratory movement, meditation, and visualization so that we can work with current astral influences in helpful, healing, and expansive ways. You can drop into Somatic Space any week or catch the recording if you can't attend live. But if you sign up for one of our monthly memberships, you'll get access to every live class, a library archive of past class recordings, and twice monthly chart reading study groups that are great spaces for learning more about how to work with your natal chart through experiential embodied practice. Our study groups are facilitated by my colleague, Embodied Astrology's community coordinator, Alisha Mawji. Alisha is also facilitating a 12-week cohort beginning on September 23rd called At the Heart of Conflict. This is the second group of 5 12-week gatherings, which are taking place during Jupiter's transit in Cancer between June of 2025 and June of 2026. At Embodied Astrology, one of our primary intentions is to harness astrology to work with the needs of our times. And Jupiter's influence in Cancer is particularly well suited for exploring patterns of conflict with curiosity, care, and in community with others, which is what this series is dedicated to. In these sessions, folks share and practice different tools that help us get curious about our own and others' experiences, expand our capacity in moments of dysregulation, and practice witnessing, careful reflecting, and collecting communal wisdom that expands different perspectives so we can move our conflict forward in new ways. Also coming up on our Virgo season calendar is a special one-time event I'll be co-facilitating with Sherri Taylor on September 21st, and that's the day of the Virgo new moon and solar eclipse. Sherri has spent over 15 years supporting individuals and organizations through transition, grief, growth, and awakening. Her work is rooted in trauma-informed psychology, adult development, systems coaching, and spiritual inquiry, and shaped by training in human development, group dynamics, and somatic practice. You might know her from Embodied Astrology. She has been with us for about 4 years now, and she is a longtime student of folk traditions, dream work, astrology, and mysticism as pathways into deeper presence and knowing. I'm so excited to be partnering with Sherri for this special event where we'll be tuning in with the Eclipse portal as an opportunity to play with deep diving into divination and dream work. If you're interested in any of what I just mentioned, you can find more information on everything in the show notes or under the events tab at embodiedastrology.com. Finally, if this work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free, please consider signing up for one of our recurring monthly donations. If every one of our listeners gave just $1 a month, we'd cover all of our operating expenses and have funds freed up to offer you even more. Other great ways to support this work are to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and sign up for our free newsletter, or send a horoscope to a friend. All right. Thanks for sticking with me for these announcements. Now let's get into your Virgo season and Eclipse season readings. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Virgo season. Virgo season is an exciting season astrologically because eclipses. We have eclipses in Virgo season. It's also a rare season that has 2 new moons. We will begin and end Virgo season with new moons. The first one is on the very first day, August 22nd, at the very first degree of Virgo. And the second is on the very last day of Virgo season, September 21st, at the very last degree of Virgo. In the middle, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. So, what do we want to say about this? Well, Virgo as a sign is ruled by the planet Mercury, and as we move into Virgo season, Mercury is finishing its retrograde cycle. It's stationed direct back in Leo season on August 11th, but it still has the last days of its shadow period from the 22nd to the 25th, so the first 3 days of Virgo season. And Venus is entering Leo in this period of time as well. Mercury's whole retrograde has been in the sign Leo. I think that this retrograde season for you over the last month has been a really clarifying one. And I feel that a lot of you have located some aspect of your self-worth that is a really important kind of boost for you right now. Some of you are getting very grounded in your desires and your values and your priorities, and that is really helpful for you right now. I think that Virgo season, as it starts, you come in with a lot of energy. And my feeling is that you want to make something happen. You are trying to build something. You're trying to grow something. You have intentionality. I don't know what this is. It could be a project. It could be a relationship. It could be like a new garden bed. You know, it doesn't have to be some huge thing, although for some of you, maybe it really is. It's like you want to make something big happen in your career, or you want to do something big in your life. Maybe some of you have a lot of aspirations and ideas about, what you can do in the world or in the worlds that you are a part of. But it could be smaller as well. But I feel that you're focused and you know what you want, and you know what's important to you, and you are figuring out how to get what you need in order to do and have what you want. And you have a lot of intelligence right now around resourcing. And some of you, this is your role in the revolution, and your role is around like mutual aid and figuring out how to move resources around. Because you have a consciousness as a Cancerian that there actually is enough if people share. Nobody gets seconds until everybody gets firsts, right? Cancerian intelligence right there. You're concerned with everybody having enough to eat. And that means that it's like you have this landscape around your consciousness of resources. And you're figuring out how to put things together. And Virgo season is bringing this kind of vibe of strategy and planning and like being able to see the big picture and see how it's going to work. So as we move into the month of September and we start approaching eclipses on the 7th and the 21st, there's something that's brewing for you. And I feel like your mind is doing some kind of interesting things right now. you may have previously had mental limitations that you do not have right now. And what I mean by that is what you would allow yourself to fantasize about having or experiencing or being a reality before. There was some way maybe where you would be critical about it, or you'd be like, well, that's not really possible. Or, you'd be practical, quote unquote practical, but actually you were just not allowing yourself to imagine that it could be for you. That's on the way out. And what's on the way in is this kind of imaginative, dreamy kind of thinking. You see that there are possibilities that seem impossible. I do this game a lot with myself and with other people, where it's like the game of impossible solutions. And when I feel like, nothing is going the way that I want it, or there's some big problem or something like that, I'll play this game where I'm like, what's the most impossible solution to this? Like a UFO lands in my backyard, and, the queen of the alien nation of the Pleiades, like, comes down and, like, hands me a scroll with the information that I need, like, impossible possibilities, impossible solutions. I feel like this game is something maybe you want to be playing right now, because some of you have an idea about something that you want, that you're trying to make happen, that you want to build, and it feels impossible. Or it feels maybe not totally impossible, but it's impractical and it's fantastical. And you might tell people about it and they're like, how on earth are you going to do that right now? I feel like Cancer, if anybody can do it right now, it's you. Maybe you and Gemini, but I feel like you've got this. Like there's something that you have your sights set on, or you have a feeling or a longing about, and you need to allow yourself to fantasize more. Now maybe isn't exactly the right time to try and make a lot happen. Eclipses in general, energetically, are times when we are better off kind of just staying as chill as possible and really trying to notice what's happening so that we can go with the flow and maybe find the opportunities that are emerging as things are happening. I would discourage you from really trying to use eclipse energy in a way that is about intentional manifestation, but rather really tuning in with beingness and presence and deep listening. Also, because these eclipses are in Pisces and Virgo, prayer and spiritual practice and devotional practice are very powerful right now. So as we move into the month of September, Saturn is retrograding back into Pisces. Saturn has been in Aries for the last couple of months. It made its first ingress back in March, but it's going back into Pisces now for some months. And Pisces is your fellow water sign, but Aries is your fellow cardinal sign. And so as Saturn is moving back and forth between these 2 points, at least through like a house system organization, Saturn is moving across a really important juncture in your chart. And this is a juncture that has to do with how you become what you imagine you can be. So there's this realm where we are in the realm of possibility and imagination. This is the realm of faith and philosophy and insight. It's also a realm where we are seeking, and when we are kind of like opening ourselves to how we can learn or grow or get what we need in order to do what we want. And then there's manifestation of it. There is dedication, there's commitment, there's putting the work into something consistently over time so that eventually something gets built. So Aries for you is that place of consistency, dedication, and building something long term. But Pisces for the Cancer solar charts is the place of possibility and vision and like the call to adventure. What you build has everything to do with how you're called to build. And the first eclipse that we'll get on September 7th is also in Pisces. And so what I feel is that this is a
really profoundly, powerfully spiritual time for you. And if you want to tap into this energy and harness that power, then this is definitely a time to make space in your life to be with spirit. Now, spiritual practices can look so many different ways. They do not have to be formulaic. They do not have to be religious, but they do need to make space for you to be with subtlety and energy, because that is the spirit realm, is the subtle realm and the energetic realm. So whatever this might look like for you, it could look like quietness and meditation. It could look like dancing. It could look like listening to Dharma talks on Spotify. It could look like reading books of, energetic medicine or something like that. Make space for quietness. Make space for deep listening. Make space for prayer in the way that you pray, okay? What is natural for you. However it is that you might enter into some kind of communication with the realms of spirit. Some of you have deep spiritual practices and you don't need suggestions. Some of you might have religious trauma and you're like, I don't know, give me some suggestions that are not, a particular thing. So I'm just going to throw some stuff out there. Take what works, leave the rest. If this resonates for you and you are feeling this way, comment and let me and the other Cancerians out there know what you do for your spiritual practice, because this is very supportive to the collective. Like, tell us about your rituals. Tell us how you connect with your highest self or your spirit team or something like that. So some suggestions that I have for you, Cancer. You are ruled by the moon. The full moon lunar eclipse on the 7th definitely wants some moon energy. Go gaze at the moon. Give yourself an outside date and moon bathe a little bit. Be with the moon. Try and connect with the moon in your body. The moon governs the chest and the breast area, and the stomach and the womb. And so as you are with the moon, you might also just really tap in and tune into your inner body messages. You might also work with mantra and meditation of repetition with affirmations. Maybe you write a line of a poem. Maybe you declare your commitment. Maybe you have an affirmation that you want to work with, or a mantra that you want to work with. Using sound to self-hypnotize could be a very powerful practice around this time. So you would repeat this phrase over and over and over again. You might sing it, you might just say it, you might whisper it. I would say you want to do it for a while until you get into kind of a state where the words stop making sense and they start to do something to your mind. And you get into kind of like this hypnagogic, rhythmic, trance-like state. And then when you feel compelled to stop, just sit and listen. Really tune in with the awareness that you have in your ears, and try and be very, very present in the space where sound would flow in from your ears. And then see if you can listen to the part of you that's listening. So sounds are happening outside of you, but there's a consciousness inside of you that receives the sound and then does something with it. So before you do something with the sound information, and usually what we do is something mental, right? We hear something and we're like, oh, a squirrel, right? And then we have a thought about squirrels. But if we can really be in the pure energy of awareness, then a squirrel might be running up and down a tree over there, and we hear the sound and maybe we have the image come in, but we're not leaving ourselves. And when our minds want to jump over to what is the squirrel doing, we stay with ourselves instead to just kind of be in the sensory experience of hearing the squirrel, right? Being in relationship with the space between. And that kind of practice could be really interesting for you. I would also say that anything that is about divination, so doing tarot readings for yourself, working with your own astrology, any kind of scrying practice that you might have, automatic writing, things like that could be super helpful. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is make offerings. So if you work with an altar, work with your altar. If you have a favorite tree or body of water or place in nature that is special for you, go to that place and make some offerings and bring offerings for the place, or bring offerings for your altar, and bring offerings for your spirit team. This could be your departed ancestors. It could include your highest self. It could be angels, energy that you work with. It could be some imagination that there is a spirit out there that is helping you, and you are like, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to bring you this little jar of honey and, fresh flowers and some water, and I'm just going to sit here and talk to you. And then talk to them. Make your offerings, talk to your spirits, talk to your highest self, be in communion in some way. Cancer, more than any other sign in the zodiac, these eclipses want to talk to you from the realms of spirit. Now, when you open that pathway, a lot of information can come in. And I feel that in the middle of the eclipses, around the 13th of September, a lot of information is coming in. And it feels like your mind is getting impressed right now about a lot of different things. And you're having clarity and consciousness that's different than you have had before. And this feels really helpful for you. And it feels like it helps you discern and strategize in some important ways. The last new moon that we get, the solar eclipse on the 21st of September, has a big collective energy around it. And this is, I'm going to say, a pretty, it has a lot of gravitas to it. This is a lunation that when I look at it and feel towards it, I'm like, okay, what's going to be happening? We do live at a time when there is a lot of accelerating climate events, and I think these eclipses especially have been bringing some of those. So I'm not making a prediction here, but we do live at a time when a lot of things are breaking down, a lot of things are very chaotic, and the impact of humanity and some sections of humanity in particular upon the earth have been nothing short of devastating. And we have to deal with it. And no amount of magical thinking is going to mean that we don't have to be accountable to the consequences of our actions and inactions. And I feel that this is an eclipse that is really kind of bringing a sense of the seriousness of the situation in the collective. Now, in your chart, Cancer, I feel that there's something here that is pretty... what's the word? It's like, it's not that existential for you. The writing's been on the wall. You're like, yeah, we have to deal with the impact. And there's honestly, I think for Cancerian energy, there's a creativity in that. I feel like Cancerian energy responds really well, for example, to apology. Like if somebody is going to give you a good apology, they've been thoughtful about it, they are like self-reflective, and they're like, I'm gonna change my ways, this is why I did it, I'm sorry, I know it affected you this way. Like you can take that in, you can appreciate it, you can forgive, you can move on. And there's something that's maybe even a little exciting about that, because it opens space for more intimacy, potentially. Like when we aren't perfect, that's actually where we bond. We connect with each other because we're human, not because we are avatars. And so there's something about this period of time where I feel like you're ready to get into the work of it. You see what's happening in the world. Your heart is breaking and you want to be of service. And it is also a spiritual imperative to be of service at this time, I think, for everybody. And definitely it feels like in the Cancer charts. And this is ultimately motivating for you, and I think creative, and it provides some kind of propulsion for you to enact and embody in some new and different ways. And it follows what I've been talking to you about in the last couple of months about your values shifting. It is a period of time where like you recognize the importance of certain qualities of being, and that's what you're leaning into. And it feels like this eclipse just affirms that and confirms that. So Cancer, I've already given you some embodiment practices for prayer and spiritual communion around these eclipses. I would love to know what your own practices are if you care to share. I am wishing you all the best in Virgo season and beyond. Bye for now.
Hello again. I hope these season's readings feel supportive for you. If they do, drop me a line in the comments and let me know what's landing for you. Also, just a reminder to check out our upcoming events. I already told you about what we have planned for Virgo season in my intro, but make sure to check out our full calendar because we have some really special opportunities to work with embodied practice in alignment with astrology coming up later this year when we'll be hosting Palestinian dancer and choreographer Saed Mansour for a 4-week series that coincides with Jupiter's station retrograde in Cancer, Saturn's station direct in Pisces, and Mercury's retrograde from Sagittarius back into Scorpio. The energies created by this triple presence in the water signs are a portal for deep excavation of our own psyches and identities. And Saed will be leading us into a journey of dancing and moving with the political, social context of our current times. For anyone who's interested in really working deeply with current events and your own identity and embodiment in relation to them, this will be a powerful space for practice and discovery. Again, you can find more information in the show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. And I am sending you so much love through these eclipses and this Virgo season. Bye for now.